Quick introduction. My name is Sethu Raman. I'm the new DevRel for Lava. I'm from India. I've spent like the past 4 years, as an R&D engineer and developer advocate in various blockchain projects. And right now, I'm here at Lava, trying to make the whole access to blockchain things easy, right? So awesome. Let me just try and share the screen now. Yeah, so this is a call that we like. This call is all about introducing a really cool feature that Lava is going to roll out pretty soon. And since we are all about the community, and I'm here to represent the community to the team, I just want to hear your thoughts on the feature. And as you guys might have guessed, the name is like Unified Provider Delegation. So the idea is that we are going to make the whole token delegation and distribution process much more easier, right? As I said, this is a really cool feature that we're trying to roll out pretty soon in Lava, and the idea is to make the whole token delegation and the distribution process far more smooth, smoother than it already is. So Ethan, can you just go to the next slide? This is the general agenda for the call. Like, we'll talk about how the current token delegation works, what is new, and what are the changes. What are all the new unified provider delegation? What are the changes that it brings? And then the floor is yours. You guys can ask all the questions and everything. So, Ethan, next slide, please. Awesome. Yeah. So right now, like the way it works is it's pretty simple. A user or somebody who has the tokens can delegate the tokens or the funds to a specific provider, right? And the by delegating the tokens, it effectively increases the stake of the provider, increasing the chance of the provider to be selected, and how the process works. And the thing is, while the token holder delegates the fund, in order to delegate the funds, the token holder or the user has to specify the provider address and the chain ID to which the funds are being delegated. Right? So if I have a provider who is providing services for chain ABC, if I want to delegate some funds, I have to say, okay, this provider address, this chain. Right? That's how I am delegating the funds to that particular provider. And in return for delegating the funds, I will get, like, as a token delegator, I will get some provider's profit based on the chain that is serving. Right after, all the commissions and everything has been deducted, the token delegator gets to make some profit out of it. See, this is the current flow. Ethan, next slide, please. Right. So the idea is to make this flow even more easier, right? Like, you have, right now all you do is, as a token delegator, select the provider, just select the chain and send funds, right? So how do you make this even more easier? So that's the cool feature. Like, that's basically what unified provider delegation is. Ethan, next slide, please. The change in the flow is that the first step is basically the same. Like, users can delegate funds to the specific provider. That step remains the same. The change is that now, instead of delegating funds, like while delegating funds, instead of specifying the chain ID, right, you can directly, you just have to send the funds to the provider address. Right? You don't have to specify, like, while delegating the funds, you don't have to specify to which chain ID you are going to delegate the funds. Right? It will be sent to the provider address. So, it will be like, you will be covering all the chains. It's like, rather than specifying that this particular fund is, that you're delegating is for a particular chain, you're just saying that, okay, this is the provider, here you go, here's your fund. So the obvious question here is, how does the delegation work? Right? Like, you delegate it to the provider. So how does the distribution of this delegation work? In the current flow, where the distribution is going because you can specify the chain ID. So how does the delegation distribution work in the new flow, which is the unified provider delegation flow? See, the idea is that the distribution will happen, like the distribution among the chains will be based on the providers on stake in different chains. So rather than like the token holder, having to specify the chain ID, delegation, his token will be distributed based on the providers on stake in different chains. For example, like if a if a provider is providing services for two chains like X and Y, and 50% of his total stake, he staked it on chain X and the rest on chain Y. So if a token delegator is delegating some tokens, that delegation will be distributed 50-50 between both these chains. So that is the new flow. Instead of having to specify the chain ID, the delegator just have to send the delegation to the tokens to the provider, and based on how much the provider has put his own stakes in different chains, the delegation will be distributed. The idea here is to make the flow much more easier for somebody who's delegating the tokens, right? And the thing is, we want, providers will help the delegators with the distribution process, because the chains, the stakes and stuff. So you guys will be helping each other. You guys are going to be real good friends. Question to the crowd: how does this sound? This is the new flow that we are going to roll out pretty soon in Lava. With this flow, the major changes that happens, once this flow comes into a picture, the major change is that when somebody is actually making the API calls for the delegation, the chain ID field, we're not removing the chain ID field, you just don't have to provide the value for it, right? And for the providers in the CLI, we'll be introducing new functionalities that will make it easy for providers to redistribute the stakes into different chains. You have different chains running, you'll be providing services for the chains. So within the CLI itself, we are bringing some sleek new commands using which you get to redistribute your stake to different chains, so that the configuration of the delegation distribution will also happen with that. Because as I've told, the way the token is going to be distributed, the delegation is going to be distributed will be based on how much stake you put in different chains. So one of the major features that we are going to bring in is that in the CLI, like the Lava CLI, we are going to bring in functionalities that will make it easy for you guys to actually redistribute the stakes. And another thing is, now, you guys, those who are running the nodes knows this, you have different vaults, like key vaults for different chains. So once this whole thing is unified, instead of having different key pairs for different chains, we'll be having one single vault. Right? You don't have to keep separate multiple vaults for multiple chains. There will be one unified vault with the keys to handle the funds across the chain. One vault to rule them all. And instead of having separate commission percentage for all the various chains, you will have one unified commission. So this is the new flow. Rather than when somebody comes in and delegates tokens, rather than the delegator specifying the chain ID, the delegator will just send the tokens to the provider address. And based on how much stake that provider has put in different chains, the delegation will be distributed. So going forward, the major changes is going to be like when you make the delegation API call, you don't have to specify the chain ID. Also, in the CLI, we are bringing in some cool new functions that will help you redistribute the stakes in chain much more easier. I think it's like in one command you can do it. Another core 2 difference will be that instead of having multiple vaults across different chains, you will have one single vault to control all the funds in different chains. And the commission percentage will also be unified across the chain. No need to configure the granularity, right? It's all about creating a much simpler flow. So you have one single unified commission percentage across different chains. So this is what we are going to roll out pretty soon. We'll launch, we'll have a big announcement and everything. But for now, this is the unified provider delegation feature. And Ethan, next slide, please. In case you have any questions or doubts, feel free to ask. Like I said, we really, really want to know your thoughts about this entire thing.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
jump in, Sethu. I wanted to make a point as well about how this will benefit delegators too. Um, so as providers now, well, with this new change, you'll be able to control where delegator funds go to instead of delegators picking where where the delegation goes to, right? So that's the CLI functionality that Sethu is talking about. From a
Yeah.
delegate perspective, they lose some of that functionality. You're controlling what chain that their delegation goes to. But what they get in return is they get a bundle of token rewards at the end of the month. So instead of just getting rewards of the chain ID that is selected under your provider, they will get a commission of rewards from all of the incentive pools that your provider runs nodes for. So that's the trade-off here. For users, it's simplified flow, but they get a little bit less control over the chains. Whereas you guys get more control. And then for users, at the end of the month, they get a bundle of rewards as opposed to just one chain that they stick to. Setu, there's a few questions for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the CLI, like we are just adding a few functions that will help you redistribute the stake. Like you can see the different percentage of stake that is there in different chains, and you can like there will be certain functions that come in like in the kernel like that will help you redistribute the funds much more easier for the providers. So yeah. Any more questions?
What about the question about the several votes, Setu? You know, Ruslan's question.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the migration, like the technicalities, like I said, the blogs and stuff will come, but the idea is to have a much more, seamless way. Like, there will be a point where the whole, multi-vault thing will be deprecated, but it will be like there will be a smoother migration to it. Like I said, like all the technicalities and the specs and the blogs will be on its way, but yeah, it won't be like we will not just stop it one day and render it unusable. You can use it, but it'll be a slower migration. Any more questions, feedback, suggestions?
I think one question that Omer, the CTO, wanted to ask you guys as well is, do you have any requests for commands in CLI for this, or
Right. Yeah.
any like specific commands or functionality that you're looking for, besides just controlling the delegation flow? Um, yeah, if so, then obviously we're happy to hear that too.
Yeah. If you have any, command requests like that you would like to see in the CLI, do let us know. Awesome. So, and now another bit of information. I'm pretty sure you guys know this, but we are actually looking for spec champions for two chains, Stargaze and Atom. Like the applications are open with Stargate. Stargaze. Like for Stargaze, the thing is we already have a spec. We are just looking for people who can just take ownership and maintain the spec. And for Atom, like we are accepting new applications. So I'll just share the link of the whole process. Yeah. Yeah. Same with Atom. Yeah. And we are announcing, the spec champion applications for emos too. So that's it. Like, this is, these are like, we have a lot more amazing stuff on the way. And as always, the community and the contributors are at the center of it. So we'll be having, like, whenever we are, tinkering with new ideas, we'll have such calls where, we'll take your opinion because, that's what drives Lava. If you have any questions, suggestions, things that you would like to see in Lava, feel free to reach out. Like I said, I'm the new DevRel. So, I'm on your side. Like, I'm on the community side.
Awesome, guys. I think Setu may have dropped off. I'm not sure, but yeah, thanks for joining the call. Yeah, I just want to shout out Setu as well. Obviously, this is his first call as DevRel with the community, and so yeah, show him some love as well. And I'm sure he'll be in touch if he's not already with a lot of you guys in DMs to hear your feedback about the dot, the provider setup, and features like this. So yeah, good to see you all here, and lots more coming this month. So we'll wrap up here. Thanks, everyone.